This episode of A Hero's Journey podcast is brought to you by S&P Inc. right here in Las Vegas. JPS Computers out of Oregon. You got Alex and Jesse. Thank you so much for taking care of me. And my newest sponsor, Red Rock Harley Davidson in Las Vegas. It's crazy. Shout out to the Rock Rage Radio listeners, the 20 million listeners every month. Thank you for tuning in to A Hero's Journey podcast on Monday nights at 6 o'clock. 9 o'clock Eastern. As they say, we are everywhere. Chase, it's crazy. You know, you and I, we're both in the music world and whatnot. I didn't know that my life would go down this path. I moved to Hollywood from Oregon, and I found myself acting and then into music. And then I get the chance to meet just crazy, legendary people. And my guest today, actually, it's nuts because he comes from rock and roll, like the guy's a living legend, his father. But what's crazy is his father spit out a seed that is better than his father. Like what he's gonna do, now, he may not be better than him now, but I see the future, and I've been watching this guy grow up. It's nuts. I worked at a restaurant on Ventura Boulevard called Il Mito, and his father is Steve Lukather. We call him Luke, and his dad would introduce me to people like Jeff Beck and Steve Lukather. I mean Steve from Journey.
Perry.
Steve Perry. Thank you for the voice you don't see yet. Steve Perry from Journey. People like that he had introduced me to, and it was crazy. I didn't know at the time who I was really meeting until later when I figured it out, like legendary. And here was this young kid who'd come in with his dad, and then we became friends, and we've spent a lot of time together, and I have been watching him blow up. Just what we'll talk about and get into today, you're going to be blown away. And for those of you out there, you know Chase. Chase is an opera singer and a big music fan. So my guest today is a good friend of mine. I love him to death. Trev Lukather, everybody. Trev Lukather.
Hey, I love you, man. I remember the El Mito days, man.
Prosecco is when we went from El Mito.
Yes,
to
fucking love that place too.
Yeah,
man.
It was crazy, like having you come in and just sit with your dad and all these rock stars that your dad would bring in, and I'd get to meet, and it was just fun to watch. But
El Mito burned down.
Right? El Mito burned down.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were a little guy back then.
But dude, I remember El Mito. My pop and I, he would take us there like at least once a week, I feel. And then I remember seeing like Kramer there. As a kid. Kramer was hanging out.
He'd ride his bike.
And I would just every time I'd go there, I'd see someone cool, And then Prosecco, I remember Pop saying, dude, El Mito, the new restaurant, we got to go. And the food was great. It was always great. And always seeing you was great, man.
Thanks,
man.
You
were always such a great positive energy.
Well, thank you. When that place burned down, what you don't know is I walked into that place and went, this would be an amazing restaurant. What if I could get you a whole kitchen crew and bring his staff in? And that's what I did.
Wow, man.
So
I had no
they
idea.
had an instant following because when you walked in, you saw me. And then they were like, what's going on? Is this and they'd see me and Eric. And Eric was a manager at El Mito. And so we brought in the same cooks and everything. So that it was instant. And your dad started coming to that restaurant.
Man, the word got around.
Yeah.
I mean, does anyone know how the fire started?
Oh yeah, the owner burned it down. Oh. He straight up, he got caught up in all these celebrities that would come into the place and became friends with him.
Yeah.
And then the not so celebrity crew, but next thing you know, he's partying upstairs and he got into drugs and whatever, and he burned the place down to try and collect some money. I used to have to keep him out. Sorry, man, can't go to the register. It's your place, but you got to stay out.
Yeah.
And he burned it. He was in the motel next door when it burned on a Sunday.
Those are janky too, man.
Yeah, but you had to remember to pay your insurance.
Oof.
So he just lost it all. And I gave all those guys, hunted them down and gave them all jobs. And so that's where it came from. But you're here.
And he's like, oh, I just got some pizza flour with me. Don't mind me. It's extra pizza flour.
Exactly. And it's all on his face. What? You know, it was bad.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, dude, what have you been up to lately? What is it that you're doing right now?
Right now, well, I got into production. I've been producing ever since the pandemic, man. When all the touring stopped, we were kind of like, all of us musicians,
Right.
were like, what are we going to do? And I had a band at the time. We had a record deal. All of things were moving for us. We mastered our record February 2020. Obviously, the shutdown March.
I would send you videos from the gym going, I'm so proud of you. I'd run around and shoot like the multiple TVs and then in the
what great promotion, room. During a pandemic, public gyms just playing our music video, man. We're really getting to the mass audience.
Well, of
course, only you are at the gym. It's like Bryan's the only guy in the gym watching our music video. But we had
I was proud of you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. But like the band fell apart. When you have too much time to think, you realize, oh wait, we don't like each other. So like,
I remember when I got that call.
Yeah, man.
I was with Ben and we get a call and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was a blindside moment, but. But I was I was like, I don't know, man. I was producing a lot, and then I was making money producing, and then I was getting really great opportunities. And I produced on the latest Dorothy album, and
no way.
Yeah, and I have like 3 songs off of that, and we're gonna start working on our next one actually this month, like the end of the month. And then I just started getting different calls, man, and. I'm working on this girl Amber Van Day's record. She's on Island UK. She's a killer songwriter, but great artist. She's up and coming. And I produced my bro Andrew Hagar, Sammy Hagar's son. I did his album. And
I know Aaron. I don't know Andrew. Okay.
Yeah, Andrew's like one of my best friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was a groomsman in the wedding, my wedding, and just like we go way back, and we made a killer record, man. We made like very grunge, Queens, Stone Age meets like. Just kind of heavy rock. It's really cool.
Where are you producing these at? Because during the pandemic, like I had nowhere to go. Like Ben wouldn't even be in the same room with me. His wife at the time wouldn't let me even be in the room with him.
Well, my beautiful wife, who you'll meet very soon, got a house during the pandemic, and we were able to make a studio in the house.
Wow.
So I was able to work from home and just. Work started just coming in, man. I'm very grateful for it. So it kind of really took me on that different path. And the band fell apart. But then when the band fell apart, I had a lot to say outside. So I was like, I want to make a record of my own. And a lot of people, man, really came out of the woodwork for me and hit me up immediately. It was like, what are you doing? I'm in. Call me. I'll play on it.
I saw JP from Doctor played on. He's
Josh
a
Paul.
monster.
He's my all-time. I think he's like one of the goats around.
Oh,
man.
he is.
And I talked to him a lot, and he just moved to California again, and I want him to play with me, man, so bad. But I got him to play on. I think there's a couple tracks he plays on, maybe even 3. But he was one of those guys, man, that really stepped up for me and just kicked ass. And Bryce Zoderberg.
Yeah, Bryce. Yeah,
our brother Bryce.
Yep.
He played on a track. Abe Laboriel Jr.
Wow.
Paul McCartney's drummer, if people don't know that. He's the GOAT, I feel.
Yeah.
And who else, man? Hector Maldonado, he's the bass player in Train. He played on a tune. I just had a lot of people, man, that came in and really...
Did your dad play on anything?
No. I mean, it's that... what I produced a song on Dad's new record coming out. I did one song with him, co-wrote and produced it.
And if you're just jumping in, Dad is Steve Lukather from Toto.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And so I feel that was the closest to get. I mean, and it's funny, even when you said, I feel one day I'll be, like, I don't compare, like, Pop's is such an alien. He's just, like, one of a kind. I feel everyone's one of a kind.
Agreed.
Walking this earth, everyone's one of a kind. Everyone's a rock star in their own right, so I don't even try to compare myself to anybody.
I love that.
And, Pop and I working together is a lot of fun. It's really cool. I actually asked him, I was like, hey, man, when I was like telling him what to play, like the guitar, hey, man, the guitar line, can we switch it up, man? Can we do this? Can we do that? And then in the middle of it, he's like trying to figure it out. And I'm in the middle of it, I'm like, is this weird? And he's like, he's like, it's oddly comfortable.
That's awesome.
You know, which was really cool because I mean, I grew up being a leg hugger,
but you're
in the studio and being like, these are the coolest guys ever. I wish I could be this cool. And then like fast forward to now, I'm like producing and you know, Pop trusts my instincts, you know? And so that was a really cool
But that's a great nod to you, man. And because that's what I'm saying, you're as a dad myself, I just was bragging about my son being better than me, and that's what he wants. He wants you to be the best thing. I know your dad, and that's just one of those things. You're learning from all these people that he surrounded you with, and he learned from the people, you know, he looked up to. And now you're doing the same thing and getting to share that with other people. And then people that are your peers that you admire and look up to and go, you know, hey, you know, it's the same kind, you're like the son of, the daughter of, the whatever. But like the Nelsons are super talented. You know,
the start of your band, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like just that, you know, they learn from their pops and the people that their backyard barbecues at the house, and moms and papas, the Beatles and people that would hang out just like you. I mean, that's a different kind of life that you've had.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, it's true. It's so funny because you don't know.
You don't know. It's no different
when
to you.
You're a kid, you don't know. I don't think it really hit me until I was 12 that things were different.
Right.
You know? I also went to Catholic school, which is so weird. Knowing my parents, you put me in Catholic school, man, and like, you know, I mean, I don't know who's gonna end up seeing this, but man, the parents of the kids in my class were stiffs, man. So it wasn't like they were exactly stoked. Oh, you want to go over to Steve Lukather's house? They're all thinking there's just strippers of cocaine all over the place, you know. So like, you know, I realized, but like down the line, like when I really started taking music seriously, I realized, and Dad took me on tour, on the Toto reunion tour in Europe, and then they're like, it was like Beatlemania over there, and I was like, holy shit, like, these things are different. And then I started realizing that the people hanging out at the house were different, and you know, worldwide respected rock star, incredible musician people. And I always just really connected with them, not just as people. And that's why, like, the whole fame thing and all that stuff, I never get, because when you grow up around people like that, everyone's a person. They're all just people. And they all, I'm sure, are just wondering how the fuck they got there.
Exactly.
With, you know? So they're all just like, wait, I'm just lucky, and life rules, you know? And so...
Can you name a couple that you grew up around that you called uncle or aunt or whatever? Come on.
Oh, man. Well, Eddie, you know.
Wow.
Eddie was Dad's, like, best. They were besties, you know? So
how cool.
Ed was always around, man, and he was always so loving. I mean, Ed was like so family oriented, obviously with Wolfie and everything. Like Wolfie was everything, and you know, when Ed accepted you into family, like Pop was, and like us, he was just so loving and such a beautiful.
For those of you who don't know, he's talking about Eddie Van Halen. Eddie, Ed.
Yeah, man. And just, you know, and so a lot, you know, just kind of realizing down the line that these people are a little different, you know, but inspiring. I mean, I just really grew up wanting to just hang out and be a fly on the wall and take it all in. And
you did that, and you're doing that now. You're spitting out great stuff with its own sound. We were talking about this because, you know, tonight I'm actually going to see DJ Ashba do his GDM thing, but I've been watching you do that for years, long before the pandemic happened. You were up on stage with who?
What's or Not, which he's a beast, man, like incredible producer DJ. And we did Life is Beautiful here.
Yeah.
And we did EDC here.
Where else? You were, you got to go across.
Yeah, we did like Lollapalooza, Bonnaroo, and then we went, he's Australian, so we go to Australia like once every quarter of the year. And man, he's huge out there because he's Australian, and he broke out worldwide. So like Australians, they have the back, you know?
Oh yeah.
And they're awesome people, dude. Like Australia, Madi and I even said, Madison's my wife, we say like if we can get a house outside of you know, outside of the United States, we'd want to look in Australia, because when our history, because she came out on the road when we first started dating, 2018, she came to Sydney and we did this Laneway Festival, which is like a traveling Coachella,
right?
Pretty much. And it was nuts, man. It was a great hang, but it was her first time in Australia. So we had this incredible, this is just an incredible experience together there. And then all of us became like a family. And she would come with me every time we'd go. And I think we went like 3 times together or something. But it was just such a beautiful place, man. It just, Australia is just, have you been?
No, I haven't.
It's
but
like,
yeah, but I can imagine that feeling, because that's kind of like a mark for you guys for falling in love. Like you got this great experience. She's watching you up on stage with a sea of people.
Yeah.
Sea. I've seen videos. And you're up there just bouncing around. Yeah. Good job. Bouncing around the stage, just you, and he's up there DJing, and the place is going nuts.
Yeah. And that really brought, that, got to be honest, I owe Chris so much for not only bucket list checks, like Red Rocks, all these places that we did, but he gave me full reins to be me. Mm-hmm. And then that showed me, man, like, because I took such a time off of touring before that, maybe a few years, and that brought me into like, I can do this. When you're like playing in front of like 50,000 people, mm-hmm. and you can have that connection and then hold them with you, mm-hmm. then you're like, wait, I can do this, man.
Yep.
You know, because there's us as artists. Every artist has such self-doubt all the time. And your own worst enemy, and you're telling yourself all these horrible things, mm-hmm. all the time, and then when you actually put yourself out there and you do it, and there's always going to be haters, man, but Chris really brought me out of my shell to like really rekindle that inner me, which to me feels when I'm up there, it feels more at home than anything else.
Right.
You know? So that was just, I owe Chris so much. Chris Emerson, that's I owe him so much. And he's still a dear brother.
Well, you know what's funny is not funny. I noticed in your new stuff, it has this dance feel.
Yeah.
You're up there when I see you're up there in these festivals. You're in shorts and bright clothes and your bright custom guitars. Who makes your
Ernie
guitars?
Ball, Music Man.
There you go.
Shout out, love you guys.
Yeah.
You're the best.
And so you're up there just killing it, doing that thing, and then that kind of bled into. That's your personality. That's the cover of your records. That's who you've been the entire time I've been around you, watching you grow up. And it's been fun for me to see you become a man. Oh. You know, find your wife. I was on one of the dates, like New Year's Eve. We brought in New Year's together.
You were like, we were even talking about that on the way here, was how we, right in the beginning, went to your show at the House of Blues super early on, and then we spent New Year's Eve together. Yeah, and that was so cool, man.
No, but it means it is, and it means a lot. Yeah. And what's crazy is, you know, we were talking about, you know, rock and roll royalty and celebrity and all that stuff, and it doesn't mean shit because we're just Trev and Bryan.
Yes.
And but it's fun to be around, surround myself with people like you, who is a real heart, coming from a real place. I watched you work really hard. I saw you at NAMM, so excited with your band, hitting the road. You were doing things, you were backtracking to teach these guys how to become a band, teach them how to tour, teach them the ropes and all this shit, you know, which, you know, sometimes you have to do, but you were taking that moment and doing that. And then to have it spin on you was it made me sick, and it made me feel like I wish there was something that I could do to help you come along, because you've been to so many of my shows, from Ace of Cruz to Paperback Hero to Elvis Monroe. Yeah. You've been there and supporting, and I've done the same. I've seen you play at the Dragonfly and all these different places all over. Watching you become who you are right now, sitting in front of me, where I'm excited to see you on a TV at the gym, and I love you, know, or here, you know, I see you on charts. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, to see you charting and things like that, because I know what kind of work it goes into it, and that you are, and especially now, you're singing, you're playing, you're writing, you're producing. Yeah. It takes a lot of work to put all those people and get them on a record. And yeah, they're our friends, but it's a timing thing. It's the right person for this song. It's not just, JP would be great for this.
Yeah.
Bryce would be great for this. This drummer would be great for whatever. People don't understand that. And we are our worst enemies because we can be sitting at home and you come up with something great and that's not good enough.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the one, or you got to get out there and
never
do it.
know.
You just don't.
I mean, and from the experience of talking to like my pop and talking to everyone that I know that's the very successful songwriter, artist or whatever, no one knows that, this is going to be a hit song. It tends to be the one they don't think is ever going to be a hit song. And that's the one that goes number one for them. But I just think that it's a piece of you. Every song is like just a little piece of a moment. And as long as it's real, I don't think it can be bad. I mean, unless there's just terrible people that have no talent. But like, I feel that if you are honest with your music, people will connect. I think when you're trying to be something you're not, people are not going to connect. But,
agreed.
If you just keep doing it. And my pop says, man, I'm a 25-year overnight success, man.
Exactly.
Or 20-year or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, because people are going to think, he comes from there, he gets everything handed to him. It's actually harder. And I've constantly been proving myself in every room I walk into. And I like that, man. I like having to keep on my toes. I'm not comfortable. I thrive out of my comfort zone.
Good.
So it's like, all right, I'm going to go work with this artist that I don't, it's completely not my style, but I'm going to do something with it. And it works.
That's awesome.
So it's just,
Well, you're bringing a lot of experience in a different way. Like you've been a leg hugger. You said that. You've watched a lot of stuff go on. You've heard a lot of things that, if it was Chase walking into the room, they depend on you for those kinds of things. And so just that on that challenge, you have 2 songs out right now. The first one came out, you were on your honeymoon when it dropped. And I remember seeing that because I saw all your crazy badass dance moves. And what's the name of that song?
You Wish.
You Wish. Wow. Chase, can you throw up a little of that chorus?
Here. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So where were you on your honeymoon?
We went to St. Lucia and Mystique, which Mystique was a private island, which was super sick. St. Lucia was awesome. We were like in the mountain, and with the with all the birds and shit. But it was amazing. But yes, when we released it, we were in Mystique.
What's this song about? This one?
Man, it's kind of like I don't want to like continuously just beat a dead horse here, man. But what happened was, it was the first song I wrote after the band breakup, so I was a little tweaked.
Yeah, that's okay.
And
we just talked about being real.
Yeah,
that's what real is.
I was super upset, man, and I think because I was the leader of the band and all these things, like the resentment that actually, instead of realizing that, hey, we're on the same team, I'm helping. Anything that I do as a band leader is helping you as well. It's not, and it's really rarely about me. Like I'm the one talking up the other guys, but they had it was one person in particular, huge problem with that. So, instead of just being like happy, the resentment builds. So that is what caused the song to be created. And it was the first song that I recorded and wrote for the record.
It was for the best because check this out. Yeah, buddy. So you don't have a video for that one. That's the the lyric video for that right now.
So basically the real singles of my record haven't been out yet.
Okay.
All of this has been a layout plan of like, You Wish was to me and my management were like, okay, this is a great beginning of what the just the rollout. It was the first song I wrote. It was the first song I produced. It set up the sound of the record, of the whole album, was going for this I'm such a Peter Gabriel fan, so going for that record of horns and funk and poppy tunes,
right?
And then guitar solos, a lot of guitars, and like, you know, so that kind of set up the vibe. And It's Time, that I just released last week, is the album opener, and that was me setting up, basically me doing this, like all the, like what I was saying before, like this, the voice in your head that's not your best friend, and especially after the band, and you know, when you work 3 years, man. Mm-hmm. You hustle for 3 years in a van, and then you tour and you play for fucking 50 people, and then you start building, and then you end up, you know, getting on a tour in Europe, and things are starting to move, and then you get a record deal, and then you get Steve Strange, God rest his soul, one of the most legendary agents, Coldplay, Eminem, he signed us, and it was like, all right, so we have a record deal now. We have this huge agent that like is already booking us on like Hellfest, Grass Pop, all these things. Like we had all this shit set up. And then
you got to play with your dad. You got to open up
we opened for Toto
in like Europe,
yeah,
which was like awesome.
It was awesome. It was so full circle, because that was the Europe tour was what made me want to play music like for real. Is when Dad brought me up and held the guitar. He had to hold the strap. I was so short, and just play any riff, and I just played a riff, and like 20,000 people screaming, and I was 12, and I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do the rest of my life, you know?
Yeah.
So that being full circle opening for him.
How amazing.
And then the band gets a record deal, and then we get this. So all of it was so the soul crushing 3 years of work, getting to the point where we're gonna do something, and we have this, you know, killer agent and the label and stuff. Boom, people destroy it.
Right.
Innerly destroy it. The band meaning.
That's sad.
And so then the thought process of starting over again, and I'm not 20 years old, and it's like, what the hell, but I know what I'm supposed to do. So it's like just kind of coming to grips with all these thoughts. But then I got really into yoga and meditation, and then hearing that optimistic voice in your head where it's like, actually, you know what, man? Think about it. Your life is so fragile, and you know, and me losing some of my best friends during the pandemic, realizing how precious everything is, and that like what's holding me back, because I'm gonna fucking die one day. And you know, man, something that really hit me hard is hell isn't fire and brimstone and all that shit. Hell is the versions of yourself you'll meet if you would have just done and went for it, you know, instead of just giving up.
Yep.
So that hit me hard. So it was one of those things where we have only this moment, the present,
now,
and I'm going to do something about this nightmare of a situation. So that's why I released It's Time, because and that's why it's the album opener. And now after this is when I'm releasing the singles that management, all of us kind of heard, and we're like, yeah, these are the strong ones.
Amazing.
The strongest ones or whatever. But like, I'm proud of every song.
As you should be.
But
they come from a real place. Listen, I'm listening to all this passion, and it's coming in a song. But I want to introduce somebody to the show, because I heard that she had something to do with the video.
She did.
Before we play this clip,
co-director,
Madison. Would you join us, please?
Madison Kane Lukather.
I was gonna say, Madison Kane Lukather. Everybody.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Hello.
So beautiful.
Y'all are too kind.
I remember meeting you, and we were at a New Year's Eve party. And it was just, I was blown away, and then to hear the story about how you guys met and everything. And for those of you who don't know out there, Madison's dad is Jonathan Cain from Journey. And so you guys are going to have a little rock legendary royalty baby.
We got the yacht rock golden grandchild ready to happen soon enough.
I know, awesome. It's so cute. Dad's been like dedicating faithfully every night to us, which is so sweet.
Well, our dads are on the road together right now.
That's right.
Yeah, they had never toured.
Mind blown.
Together.
No way.
Yeah.
Was that because of you guys?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, like, do you think it's because of?
We suggested it.
Yes.
Sure.
We were actually.
We might get in trouble.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we were in Vegas. We were in Vegas for the iHeart show.
I was there.
Yeah, you were there.
I ran into you guys.
And we
we had dinner.
We were at dinner with your dad, and
I was like,
Dan.
why haven't you guys ever toured together?
Yeah, and we're like, Africa has over a billion streams, super relevant to all generations. Don't Stop Believin', over a billion streams, super relevant to all generations.
Yes.
If you like Journey, you gotta like Toto. If you like Toto, you gotta like Journey. It's one of those things where
no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer tour that never happened. There was a festival that you have a T-shirt for.
Yeah, I found this shirt. It was Day on the Green, and I think it was
1982.
With the
Tubes.
That's right. Yeah.
Santana, Journey, Toto. And it was like a one-off festival and, some stadium show in the early 80s. But, like, that's the only time.
Wow.
And I'm like,
where was that? Where was it?
San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, Dad said back in the day, all those, like, bands, like, they always wanted to be the band that does the arena on their own. They don't, it was a different time. Like, now everyone's teaming up and doing package deals, and that's what's bringing a lot of asses to the seats. But, like, back then it was like, oh, well, we're going to do our tour, Journey's going to do their tour. But now, for all those times that because it was always like Foreigner and Journey and,
Def Leppard, Cheap Trick, Heart. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't know
how
why
cool
they never
is that?
did it, but it's been crushing. And
they
it's
did
so
last
sweet
year.
to see them together. It's kind of a trip, honestly.
What song does your dad dedicate to you guys?
He always does Faithfully, which is a big deal because he's never dedicated it to anybody really. So he always talks about, because our first date was technically at a Journey show.
Yeah.
So
Really?
we didn't know it was a date, but it was the first time we like
hung out.
And then we realized that,
I pulled the, middle school, like kind of leaned into him and like.
She touched the lower back.
Yeah.
And like, oh, shit.
And then he kind of leaned into me, and I was
and then he said,
okay,
I have to go
I think he likes me. It was really cute, actually.
Oh,
he loves
amazing.
to tell everybody how I slid into his DMs,
Well, we met on Instagram, so,
Really?
We had all these mutual friends and had never met, which is such a trip because there were so many different times where him and I were supposed to meet, and then we never did. And thank God, because the timing was just perfect. It was truly divine how it all
It
worked
wouldn't have
out,
worked
so.
if we met it. That's another universal.
We weren't ready for each other.
Yeah.
We
And
were
then
timing's everything,
we
guys.
met at the right time.
Timing is absolutely
But your story
everything.
is crazy.
I
Yeah, we won't get into that.
Yeah, we
but
won't
that's
get into that.
nuts.
But that's a nuts story.
If I didn't come out right when I did, then things could be way different.
Wow.
And that's nuts. But wow, when are you going to produce her record?
Well,
So-
actually, funny you mentioned that.
Yeah, he just produced a song for me.
Really?
And I'm really proud of it.
And who'd you write the song with?
With my sweet friend Matt from Vertical Horizon.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm so stoked and so proud of it. And I'm going to release it
It's getting
finally.
mixed like now.
The hair just stood in my arms. That's amazing. I love Matt. Matt came up on stage one night. I was standing in front of 5,000 people, or maybe 6, I think. And I had just off to the side went, hey, man, I know you're here. And I have a song that I dedicate from that night, October 1. I wrote it right after that. And I said, it kind of sounds like an anthem. And if you feel it, come join me. It's okay, right? And he's like, oh, no, it's all good. Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it. I just met him.
Yeah.
The end of the second chorus happens. I'm going in the bridge, and I turn, and he's on stage in front of a mic, and he starts singing with me. And I'm like, Matt Scannell, everybody, Vertical Rise. I'm losing my mind.
That's so
And there's
cool.
all these lights, 5,000 lights up. I got video of this. And afterwards, I went, why'd you do it? And he goes, man, it was so cool to see all those people start leaning into you as the show went on, and you're the opening act. I had to be a part of it. You invited me. I wanted to be a part of it. And
You're really good, man, with the crowds.
Thanks,
You're
bro.
very,
You are.
very you get a crowd, man.
Thank you.
I've seen it so many
Thank you.
times.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And you're
Thank
able
you.
to grab a crowd. I mean, you grabbed a Southwest flight by the balls.
thanks,
I mean,
bud.
I've never. And you know what? I think Jessie J stole the idea from
Really?
you guys. Yeah, because then I saw her performing on with her guitar
wow.
player. But I saw you guys do it first, man.
Yeah, you hit me, and the next day and went, dude.
That's the coolest thing, man.
The flight attendant woke me up. Her name is Rita. She wakes me up and said, hey, I went through and I asked everyone on the plane if they are okay, if you guys get up and do a song, would you do it? And I went, are you serious? Like, are you okay? Hold on, Ben, are you down? And Ben's like, why not?
Yeah.
And we went to the front and we played a song, and then they went, will you do another one? And we were like, yeah, let's do another one. And so she videos over my head, and someone else videoed in front of me, and then we went. They got him singing along with us to one of ours. Yeah. And then I walked to the middle of the plane, and the back of the plane's like, do another one. And we're like, all right. So we stood and played another one right in the middle of the plane, and then put our guitars away.
Tell me you got some free flights out of this,
bro,
man.
I wish.
You know?
No, but you know what I did get?
I was like, hey, what about some cred? Some Southwest cred.
I made a good friend. I call a
points?
brother, guy named Chuck Capello. And Chuck saw that, and he was like, we had already been friends. We had already mutual things. And he went, I've never seen anybody do something like that. I want to get involved. And he bought me a bus and
I remember
teamed
that.
up with all that. And that's why I love Boston, baby. Like Chuck Capello. Shout out Chucky, Capello
man.
Heavy Transport. So this song, what's this song that you wrote? What's it called?
It's called Chasing Ghosts, and we just finished it. We're gonna get it mixed and release
Well, it's getting
it.
mixed right now.
Yeah. So I'm so excited.
I'm excited
It's been a long
for you.
time. And
Who's mixing it?
Will Briere, he does all my stuff, man. He worked with like Imagine Dragons. He worked with the Killers. I think he's one of the best. Mark Needham was like, he worked under Mark Needham for years and years and years and years. And now he's on his own, and I think he is the best mixer in the biz, man.
Amazing.
And you know, he's very fresh, man. I like sonically what he does, and he takes what I do and he just enhances it.
I love that you can step back and say, I'm producing this. Now have somebody mix it and have somebody else master it. Because when you're there are people who that's their craft.
Yeah.
That's what they're really great at. And for you to recognize that's a big deal, because there are people who have their egos can't pass it along and just go, hey, put your magic on it, do your thing.
Well, I think it's just a necessity to be able to still be a listener with whatever you work on.
Yeah.
And having another mixer and someone else master it, you then hear something, oh wow, they bring out things out of the track that you're like, oh, I didn't think about that. And it just you get to just get that first, like, whoa, this is something.
It's
something
such a cool feeling,
you know.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely the first person to admit, like, this is not my strong suit, man.
There you go.
So I'm gonna leave it to the professional.
There you go.
You know.
Well, you're the songwriter producer. Now, here's the thing. It's time. Trev said that you're the co-director on this, and
the video vixen too.
Yeah, video. I saw that.
He was so cute. He asked me to be in the video, and I'm like, why?
Because you're beautiful.
Like, what do you want me to do? He's like, just rock out. I'm like, okay. So we literally just like set up a ring light. I have this awesome camera, and I said to him, I'm like, let's just make our own frickin' video, you know, and take control that way. And Steve Majora came over, and
Steve Majora, who plays in Toto now.
Okay.
He's been a bro for over a decade, and he did every track and all the background vocals, and he's like a genius. And so he was rehearsing with Pop and Toto, because they're out on the road right now. And he's like, yeah, man, let's go grab lunch. And then I didn't know what the deal. I knew that I wanted to do I had to do some kind of visual for this next song release, but I had no idea what I wanted to do. So Madi has like a killer camera, crazy ring light, and it was like, all right, man, how about you just get behind get in front of the ring light. We're gonna film you, and just start saying it's time, and start singing along with the track. And then there was this keyboard I had in the corner. So I pick up the keyboard, and then Maddie's
it was really fun.
Then Maddie's like filming him, and then I like grabbed the thing and I started shaking the camera, and then when he was done, I was like, there was such a lot of great stuff, and I was like, oh man, okay. And then I was like, Maddie, you get in front of the camera.
It was so funny because I had on like, sweats, and then he's like, babe, come on, jump in. I'm like, okay, I need to go zhuzh.
What do you call it?
Zhuzh. I need to go get glam. And so like I ran upstairs and put makeup on, and then I was like, well, what do you want me to wear? I don't know what I'm doing. And then I don't know who said it. Our amazing voice teacher,
Dave Stroud.
Dave, he was like, well, with oh my God, Tawny, what's her face
Tawny Gatane
in the Whitesnake video.
Yeah.
He was like, that wouldn't have been
the Jaguar.
the same video without her. So, and I was like, well, I will try.
And then Jake Hayden, who I got to give Jake Hayden love. He plays drums on most of the record. He's been my go-to guy. He plays on all the sessions that I produce. If it's not a band, love him. He played on most of the record. Love Jake. So Jake and Steve Earle they used to live together. He had some mail for Steve. So that was another weird thing.
He pops in?
He pops in. He's a drummer. And,
in.
Abe Laboriel Jr., it's like, I was going to hit him up, but it was like, man, like, it was already a lot to ask him to play. He played on 2 tracks. And I was like, okay, man, I'm not going to bother you to be like, hey, man, can you do a music video thing? Even though, I was going to ask him, like I asked Josh, because Josh Paul did a couple takes through, because he played on It's Time. And he sent him going through it, and then I just put it in the video. But
because he does that anyway. He sits at home
every day
and plays every day.
Sickest videos all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
And so I was like, when Jake was popping up, he says, well, I happen to be in your hood, so like, why don't I come by the house? And he didn't know he was walking into a video shoot. And I said, hey, man, you got drumsticks and drums in your car? And he says, no. And he's like, but I do have some sticks. So Jake, my cousin, who lives on the bottom floor of the house with his girlfriend, he had a snare, so he brought a snare up. And then so Jake, actually in the video, we put a lamp next to him as a hi-hat, and he has a snare, and basically we don't show what he's hitting, but we'll show a little bit of the snare, but like the lamp.
How cool.
Like, so we really the whole thing was winging it. And then by the end of it, when Josh Paul sent his takes, I just kind of got in there and
you cut this together.
Just cut it together.
You said you did it in like 10 hours, right?
I did it in 2 10-hour days.
There we go.
But because I was also I got Final Cut Pro, and I was looking up YouTube clips of how to do this, and it was a nightmare, and I couldn't do it. So I ended up doing the video on CapCut, which is like the TikTok.
Oh wow!
It totally is the not so professional way to do it, but
it turned out really cool.
It turned out cool, and it was a proud moment, and then we got to direct it together, so that was a cool moment.
It was really fun.
It makes for a great story.
Yeah.
Hollywood's a crazy place to live, because I remember I was moving one day, and he was helping me move some boxes inside this new place I was moving, and he says to me, I got a friend coming by, he's got to drop off something, and I got to give him some keys. And guy just grabs a box and starts walking it in, because he's not, he sees us going back and forth, and I'm like, yo, is that Phil Collin from Def Leppard? And he's like, yeah, oh yeah, that's who.
You just see an 8-pack go by, you're like, is that Phil Collin?
It's like, bro, like, okay, yeah, just somebody's popping by, and now I said, you know what I said? He helped me move.
Yeah, Phil Collin.
One box.
Hey man, can you grab this photograph?
So let's see. Chase? Do you have this video queued up? It's time.
It's time, yes, sir.
It's time to play it.
Lamp.
Wow. That was awesome.
Yeah,
that was awesome. And to hear the story behind it, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And you went up and smushed. Oh, are you kidding me? Like, you look like
did a
you.
little zhuzh.
Zhuzh, whatever that was. You killed it, you guys. Well done. Great song one. I was rocking out to it at the gym yesterday.
Oh, great.
Knowing you were coming in, I just wanted to really dive into it, but your next video has to be you just all those damn dance moves that you did.
I know.
Eventually,
you know what I'm
saying,
yeah,
he had some killer moves out there.
Signature Trev moves. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the next one, I think we're slow it down a little bit. I'm gonna show a little bit more of a softer side. It's a song I think we agreed upon. I hope I'm not speaking too soon, but it's a song called "The Sound," which I wrote about everything going on, man, about just how we are.
Oh,
like,
I
just,
love that song.
It's
So
very,
good.
very powerful tune. And also with Steve's backgrounds, like I cried when he sent them to me. And like, it was
As
just
Steve
Majora. And if we're talking about like the Steves, it was like the first song that I sent to Steve Perry too, which, you know, he called me within like 10 minutes of me sending it to him. And he's like, who's singing? You know, and I'm like, well, that's me. And he says, what? You sing like that, man? And he was like, wow, man. He's like, your tone and your vibrato. And we talked on the phone for an hour, and he was just loving on the vocals. And that was like because he's the one.
Come on,
he's the greatest of all time.
Greatest.
And
he sang on a record on your last band. I saw that.
And him, you know, he's been like a mentor to me.
Yeah.
You know, other than my pop, Perry's always been a strong mentor to me. And he's not a bullshit guy. He's not a guy that's going to tell you something that just for you to hear it.
Wow.
Like, him saying that was real, and that really made me feel another kind of like tip of the hat, because I've gotten a lot of like my all-time favorite players to like really love what I do, and that kind of is like such a surreal moment of like these people I look up to hitting me up and loving what I'm doing or supporting.
I loved it. I loved knowing that you were singing and that it was you. That I was like, yes, it sounds amazing.
Thanks, man.
I'm telling you right now, it was the same thing. I don't mean to cut you off, but yesterday, the pride I had in the car would have stopped me. I was like turning to Nicole, and it was like, you didn't have to wait on anyone.
Yeah.
You played it, sang it. I wish I could do that. I have to have somebody play guitar for me.
Yeah.
And I don't have that. And I went, you just took it and ran with it. And I'm so proud of you for doing that and taking control of all of it. That's badass. And, you know, you could be sitting here doing this and sharing your stories with your wife, and you guys would just be this big, it would be a big ass show because of the stories that you could tell and the people that you could bring in. You could have your own podcast. I'm telling you right now.
Maybe one day.
Yeah.
You know.
No, it's something that people would want to hear. Trust me, with the stories. It doesn't mean anything. Not that it doesn't mean anything to you guys, but they're just people in your lives and friends and the stuff you grew up with. But it would be inspiring to others, just like your music is.
Oh, I love you, man. I mean, I do think that it's so important, and I think that even maybe you need to just pick up some guitar chops or something. Man.
I have been. I just wrote my first song from beginning to end.
I love that.
It's awesome.
Just on October 1. I didn't know how to deal with October 1 coming around. And that's, if you're listening out there, I met my girl in the middle of the shooting. She's a person I grabbed and led her and a bunch of other people to safety together, and we survived it. And then it's how we dealt with things after the shooting that I realized this girl is amazing. And I wrote several songs, and she could read between the lines, like how I was feeling.
Yeah.
And so there was a journey of songs, and Falling For You Bad was this one. Well, the 5-year anniversary came around, and I didn't know how to cope with
5 years, man.
5 years, October 1. And I didn't know how to cope with that day, because that day is the day I met the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
The best moment, it goes her, then everything else in my life. And so for me, I went, how can I be happy about today? Because today was so bad for so many, and I lived through it. And I was shut down and not knowing how to cope. And I had got hired to go out on the road and write songs on this tour bus with this band. And we stopped in Nashville, and I wrote 2 songs out there for them, or 1 song for them. One I started to write, and the bus driver heard me, and he goes, "Oh, is that for them? That's so good." And I went, "Nope, this is mine." And I just tucked it away. And I didn't do anything with it. And on that day, I picked up the guitar and I wrote a song from top to bottom. And I hadn't done that ever.
Wow, man.
Ever.
That's great.
That's awesome.
And I've always given right parts and then passed them along to Ben. And it's how I coped with it. And the new guy coming in, Abe's my, the guitar player filling in for Ben. And he was like, "Where's that song?" And I'm like, "No, that's new. Like, I just wrote it." But that's how we cope with stuff.
Yeah.
And we have been through a lot. And I don't bring this up, but years ago, you introduced me to somebody who came up to my show, and he's like, man, the name of your band, where did that come from? He's like, I love it. And I went, oh, thanks. And I break it down to him, and he's like, it's really cool, man. And he goes, and that was a fun show, and I had a great time, and whatever. And we go to take a picture, and I take the picture with him, and afterwards I'm looking at this photo, and I went, whoa, like this guy looks really familiar. He was Elvis.
You're like arm around.
Yeah, arm around. It was like me hugging Elvis.
Yeah.
It with blue hair.
Yeah.
You know, and it was Ben.
Yeah.
Ben Presley. And you're like, this is my best friend.
Keo.
Yeah. What's that?
Keo is his last name. But
Oh, okay. But you know what I mean.
Yeah,
And it was crazy because you're like, yeah, that's my best friend. And you leaned in and went, you smiled at me like you just noticed what you were hiding.
Yeah.
And then you lean in and tell me, and I was like, whoa. And he was so sweet, so kind. I think the next year I introduced, you guys got to meet Nicole because that's the year that, you know, everything happened. And so my heart was crushed for not only the Presley family, but for you. Yeah. I reached out to you because I knew he was your best friend, and to lose him and to know that that's how we deal with things and we write about things. And
there's a song on the record that's about that, a song called What We Lost. And you know, I lost two, but Tay, you remember Tay?
Yeah.
So two of my best friends died in the same month, a year apart from each other, 2020 and 2021. And a lot of loss, man. Yeah. And we just, I didn't know how to cope with it. And I was, you know, Madison, God bless her, man, had to deal with a version of me that I didn't know, you know, no one's prepared for that kind of loss and that kind of instant loss. You're not prepared to get a phone call like that twice. No. And really taking on the fact that they're not going to be around anymore. And that a lot of people lost a lot of things too. So I, of course, just, that's how I cope, is I crawl into the studio and I bring something out. And so the song called What We Lost, which you sang on too, you did background vocals on.
That song kills me. It's beautiful.
And, you know, so this record, I can also say, saved my mental sanity because a lot of things were going on.
Songwriting is therapy.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
it
the
really
best therapy,
is.
yeah.
I mean, it's a release. It's a way to make sense of things. I feel like at times when you feel just scattered and lost and looking for answers, and sometimes you don't really find answers, but you find peace in that release, like artistically, at least for me.
Yeah.
You know, so.
No, it's true. I call it my vocal diary.
Yeah.
And it's tough because we get to stand up there and share our souls. Like people judge what we come up with in a matter of 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And it comes from
30. It's like 10.
10 say exactly.
Maybe 5.
Right? and it's instant. And so, but that's how we emote. That's how we as artists deal with things, especially when we write. And now you get to, it comes from your fingers, your soul. Now it's coming from your voice and your heart. And you get to share all of it. And you get to share it with your wife.
Yeah.
And
she's been by my side the whole time.
It's amazing.
Through the worst,
so proud of you, babe.
Well, through the worst times of my life, she's been there.
Yeah.
And got me through. If I didn't have Madison, by my side, I don't know. I'd be scared to know how deep I would get into. Maybe, you know, I mean, we barely hang like as far as like partying or anything like that.
I asked you if you were coming out tonight, and you're like, "No, this is it. This is all we're doing here."
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like we're in bed at 9 p.m. We could be more of a married couple. It's like 9, watching like, you know, Love is Blind on Netflix, you know, or like, you know, Married at First Sight or 90 Day Fiance, super rock star shit. You know,
when you meet that person,
we sent it very often initially. Did. I think, you know, it's like I'm good.
But we both have addiction on both sides of our families. And we've seen it firsthand. And luckily, we're able to, we learn from people that we love that have harder struggles. And also with my friends that, you know, had struggles. And so we just kind of looked at each other like we should really for them too, settle down, like really keep it, tug it, like let's bring it back a little bit. Because on the road, it's really easy to really party a lot. Because like, you know, when you have a writer and it's like, all right, here's a few bottles of Casamigos, and what else do you need? And everything, and everyone wants to have a drink with you and party and stuff. And you're out and you're riding on a high. And I know you've never drank.
Never touched a drug or an alcohol in my life.
Which is like, I commend you, man.
Incredible.
But it comes, I saw it at 8 years old on both sides of my family too. So I went, I don't want this to happen to my future and the future of Nicole. Like, you know, the person that was going to be in my life. I don't want them to have to deal with that in my family, and my kids or whatever. I don't want them to have to go through that. And I made that choice at a young age, and it just stuck.
Yeah.
So
I mean, for my family, I mean, I'm way deeper on my side of like, you know, both parents, you know, are addicts, but like their parents, each parent, like my mom's dad died of alcoholism. My dad's mom died of alcoholism.
Mine's my grandmother. My uncle, my two aunts, alcoholism.
So I knew, and my sister's, you know, a recovering addict, and like, so we were there for Tina, like I love Tina. So Tina, proud of her.
Proud of you.
She is like over 3 years.
Girl.
Yeah, over 3 years. She's
amazing.
You know, she's crushing it. I couldn't be more proud of her. And you know, that all of that is my point of like seeing that and being like, you know, I want to be there. We want to be supportive. To like, you're not alone in this. We won't, you know, when Tina went to rehab, like, I'm getting deep, and I hope Tina's cool with this.
Okay.
And you know, but she's proud of who she makes.
I'm proud of her.
And you know, I didn't want her to feel alone in the process of like, all right, you're getting sober, not drinking. I said I won't drink either.
Oh wow, what a big brother!
So it was just, and I'm not. I'm the young brother.
I mean, you know what I mean?
But it was like, I won't have a drink. Okay, I won't do it. So you don't feel like you're alone in this. And so I think, and Maddie didn't drink either. I think we went like 9 months, man, without having a taste. And
it was awesome.
Yeah, and it was great.
You really just clear your mind and your body, and you just, I mean, it's crazy how much better you feel.
And that was the thing, is that's what that experience, to be honest, Tina saved our ass, because we were touring a lot. She was coming out with me on the road, and we were drinking a lot. And like that experience with Tina and Tina getting it all together, like that, when we took that 9 months back, then when we got back in, it was like, okay, we'll have a drink, a couple of drinks, you know. Then it lost its interest to us of like going out and partying all the time.
Right.
I also like being productive. You know, I can't really hang with the hangover anymore.
Yeah, but and also you found your person.
Yeah.
And it's easy to be with your person who is on the same wavelength with you. You could go, let's not go out tonight or next week or whatever, or we'll just go to dinner, or we'll go to this little function, and we don't have to stay out all night.
Yeah.
Let's go, you know, we'll go make an appearance, walk the red carpet, and bounce, you know, because I need to do that to promote the record, need to do, you know, whatever it is that we need to do, we'll make an appearance. But you have that person, you found your person, and you get to share that with them. And you did it, you know, started out of love with your sister. You know, which is really cool, really cool.
So proud of you.
And I think that whole like, you know, the whole sex, drugs, rock and roll thing is that time's over.
Yeah.
That there was a time for that, but that's over, man. And
that was in your dad's time. Both your dad's times.
It was the 70s and 80s, man. Like, it's funny, like touring with a huge EDM thing, and then like meeting all these people at these festivals that are like huge artists. And we're all hanging out and mingling, but no one's partying hard, dude. I was like, wow,
it's the total
really
opposite. A lot of them are drinking Red Bull and like like working on a track, or like we would be like on the way to the festival, and Chris would say to Trev like, hey, can you jump on this really quick? And like y'all would be like recording in the freaking car and learning
being productive.
Parts and you know, I mean, it was awesome.
You ever bring your friends who just can't wait to get backstage? They want to be backstage so bad. They get back there, I'm like, there's
like
nothing going on.
Room.
Everybody's chilling.
Lots of carrots.
On their phones.
Celery.
You're like, the stuff you see in Almost Famous, the movie, it's not happening here.
It's
especially
time.
Like single fires, like, oh, there's a bunch of chicks there, man.
Yeah, it's like, no.
It's like, it's even funny with our dads, too. It's like going backstage with them. It's like, what do you want to see? bunch of guys in their 60s in their underwear, man. What do you want?
Exactly.
But you know, they realize that everyone's so chill and everyone's sober. So it's like, you go backstage, everyone's like, it's very just, if you're not family, you wouldn't really want to be back there, you know? And yeah, man, even in the big festivals, I realized that a lot of people were just very calm. And everyone I think because everyone, it's so tough nowadays that when you have the opportunity
you don't screw it off.
You don't want to fuck it up.
No, you don't.
And so all these people are like, I'm an artist and I'm making a living playing music and I'm playing this huge festival. I am not fucking this up.
No, exactly. You nailed it.
You know, so that is the difference. Back in the 80s, it was like, you know, one blow was real and, you know, there was no fentanyl and all this shit that's going on. And like, people were like fucking partying, man. And it was like real shit. And if I was back then, I would be doing the same thing. But like, now I'm like, I just don't want to die.
Yeah,
and you know, and I want to like feel good. And, you know, so.
That's crazy. Yeah. Hey, Chase, what you don't know about these guys, it goes even deeper. Do you remember the band It's not the Runaways. No, it's the Runaways. You're too young. You're 24 years old, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so it's Joan Jett came from a band called the Runaways.
Yeah, I know Joan Jett.
They made a movie about it. Well, Trev's aunt was in that band, and his mom is the twin of
Cherie Curry.
Yeah, and from the Runaways, and so it's just kind of wild that. There's even more royalty.
And actually, what's crazy is Maddie's dad, when he played in the Babies before Journey, did shows with the Runaways.
Really?
I think so. I could have sworn that was.
Wow.
I feel like they definitely could have.
Yeah. No, because I think they did.
Well, and your mom and Marie and Cherie and their project together. Yeah. And they toured all over.
Funny enough is our dads obviously knew each other back in the day, but my dad played on John's first demo for like as a solo artist before Journey.
Back in
and he hired my
70
pop to play guitar on it.
Something.
And then my dad got him super baked and took him to see Eraserhead and like set John up to get, and John wasn't a big weed smoker, obviously. And like he was losing his shit in the theater and there's like raining sperm and dad's just laughing his ass off, man, you know? And that was our dad's first encounter.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they toured together, and my mom was actually on the tour
with Bad
English. And I actually was like...
Bad English, where was the tie-in with Bad English?
So when my dad was in Bad English after... Well...
It's Neil, Sean, and John. So John and Neil from Journey, Bad English was their band with John.
I remember that band.
With John Waite.
So
John Waite. Because John, her dad John was in the Babies with John Waite. So... It was
Dean was in it too.
And Dean Castronova.
who's from my hometown.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, Kaiser.
And then who's the bass player? Ricky Phillips.
Ricky Phillips, yeah.
Who's playing in Styx now.
Yeah. Yeah, but so Steve Lukather, father-in-law, Papa Luke, he actually toured back then with my dad as a solo artist, and my mom happened to be on the road with them. So there's like, I found this whole photo album of photos with them from Japan. It was so cool.
That's crazy. And now you guys are married, and
it's a trip.
It's funny to see dads. Even at our wedding, I saw like our dads just be like, "Who thought, man?
Who would have thought?
Like, you know, when we were."
I would have thought if I saw her. Like, come on.
Well, just them as buds, like meeting each other in '77. I think dad's like, "Who knew, man? In 1977, when we met, we would have kids, and then they would marry each other, you know.
Now we're family.
Now we're family, and then they're on.
Now they're on tour together,
you know.
And that just like this crazy happening. And my podcast is called the Hero's Journey Podcast because we all go on this journey and we all take on new things. And you did that during the pandemic, and you get this calling and you step into these new roles and these things, new adventures, and your dad that taught you so much, and watching, and that moment you picked up the guitar, 12 years old, on stage, and those are the full circle moments, and it's unreal. I wrote a song called Forever Family, and it made me think of this because thinking of your dad, I sent it to Matt and Gunnar, and I asked Matt Nelson to sing on it, and I have my brother, my brother's a fighter. My brother is not well, and he's not going to come out of it. See, they gave him 3 6 weeks to 3 months to live, and it's been 3 years now.
Wow.
Thank
And
God.
and my brother is I wrote this song knowing that we were going through this, and so I had my brother sing on it. My brother's a great singer. He was a songwriter, singer before I ever did this, and he was signed to a label out of on Universal and all this stuff, but I'm the one taking it further. And so then we put my dad on it, and so I sent it to Matt and Gunnar, and I get a call and they're like, hey, what do you want me to do to it? Blah, blah, blah. Gunnar's going to run the board. What do you want to hear? He's going to sing harmonies on it. I tell him. Then they call me back an hour later and he's crying. And he's like, I can't sing today. I got a headache. I've been in tears. Gun's sitting behind the board crying. We never got to sing with our dad. And if you're listening out there, Matt and Gunnar, their father is Ricky Nelson, grandparents Ozzie and Harriet Nelson. And they're like, we never got to sing with our dad. And they're like, we know you didn't write this song to be anything other than just for your family. But because you did that and the way you did this, they're like, we're calling it, man. This is the song that's going to change everything for you. And they said to me, it's as if Jonathan Cain wrote it himself. That's what they said to me.
Wow.
And I'm like,
Aw.
whoa, and then instantly your faces come rushing to me because I've never met your dad, but we all know the lineage of your father. And so for them to say that to me and then say, we can't sing on it today. And then Gunnar said, they called me back the next day and they said, okay, now that we're done blowing snot bubbles and acting like little wusses, we're ready to do this. And Gunn said, can I be a part of it too? Can I play on it? And I went, sure. And so he did, and his own brother hits him and says, hey, think more Jonathan Cain. Think more, what would he do?
Aw.
And so Gunn goes back in and replays on it, and then they sent it back, and I'm going to have Jay Rustin mix it.
Oh, fuck
and,
Jay's awesome, man.
Yeah, I love Jay. He's going to mix that whole record, so I'm excited about that. But so for me, it made me feel like, whoa,
Yeah,
that
so sweet.
they as if Jonathan Cain wrote it himself. I went, oh my gosh, thank you. So I don't want to take too much of you guys' time. You guys have already, given me so much. And speaking of, I thought of you too. Lisa Presley had passed, and I knew that it had to be a tough couple of years losing a son, and you're not supposed to outlive your kids.
Yeah.
And I know that she was like a mom to you, and she
was like family for sure, and we had ups and downs, obviously, but like we bonded really hard the last year of her life, and I'm grateful for the last conversations that I had with her, and the last things that we text to each other was very loving and positive, and I was able to spend a lot of time with her and just sit with her like at the house, just have great deep talks. She was deep and I was deep, and
wow. Good.
And I'm just grateful for those times. And she came with me to the funeral, and it was really rough, and I'm not going to talk much about that, but
No.
but the fact is that Lisa and Ben are two people that took me in as family, and I have incredible memories with them that I'll cherish forever. And Ben was like a soul brother. He's been like my brother for lifetimes. And the next lifetime, I'll catch him then, man.
Yeah, he's with his mom now.
And he's with his mom, and that, and them being with each other is what settles all of us down,
right?
Because it's all just so heartbreaking. But I just want to, I love Riley and Harper and Finn, and Danny Keogh, who's Ben's dad. Just love them, and I'm here for them anytime, and I tell them that. And I just hope everyone can just let them just be, and just let them, it's so much that's gone on that, like, for me, just being a friend, the pain, can't even imagine what they're going through.
Yeah,
and I just wish people in general would respect that for them more than they do, but yeah, it's a heartbreaking situation, but I'll just always be grateful for the times that I had with them, and I'll love them forever,
Awesome. And it's a great tribute. Chase, before we go, again, I'm going to ask you, you're not going to have any questions. Is there anything that you want to run by? Ask these guys. Come
So
on.
I've got a couple things actually.
Okay, please.
I was doing some research before this.
Okay.
But the first thing I'm always curious, especially with people who have like been in the industry for a while, is like, how do you deal with like we all have the voices in our head? You know, you mentioned it a little bit before. How did you deal with that when you were kind of like a younger musician kind of thing? You know.
I think that's the hardest thing because, you know, I think it's so important. That's why I think meditation and yoga did so much for me, is because you have to really get in tune with something, this energy, and find your inner self and who you are, like, and realizing how much power you have to tune out the bullshit. And I think that's, if I can just suggest anything, is when people can just meditate and tune everything out and just get to the bottom of who they are and to build the self-love, is what will save anyone from falling into the deep end, I guess, and drowning. You know, I think that, you know, I'll read Madison just some hater comments. I laugh. I don't get upset. And I feel that it's also important for anyone that's a young musician to know that they're going to be told they're terrible.
Right.
And and that they suck and that they're mediocre and all that stuff. And get told that all the time. But also be more focused on the people that are connecting to the music, that actually love it. And if you could tune out the bad people, you'll do good, man. You know, and if you just put in the work for yourself, really focus on you, find who you are, and then keep going. If you care about it enough, it will happen.
Not everybody loved your dads.
No.
And look how successful they are. Not everybody loved Elvis, and people were making the Colonel made money off the haters as well.
Yeah.
I hate Elvis, you know.
Everyone has
and
haters.
So everybody
man.
does.
But a lot of people mentally can't take that. Can't take the shit talking from these people sitting behind a freaking computer in the middle of nowhere, probably in their mother's basement, and with their pants to their ankles, with all this dried tissue around them.
Oh my God, babe.
And they're just like, oh, fuck this person who's doing something with their life. You know, like.
I think if you are polarizing like that, and you have, like, look at somebody like Lady Gaga, you know, she has as many people that love her as she does people that don't. And at the same time, it's like she's still winning because it takes a very small percentage of the world to fall in love with you for you to be successful.
Exactly.
That's what you always say, babe.
You know?
What you say, like 1%, or not even, like even a 0.5% of the world. If they dig you, you're killing it.
You're killing
crushing.
it. Exactly.
You don't need everyone to like you. And I mean, I've struggled with that inner voice so badly, and he's helped me so much to, you know, silence it and be stronger and find my confidence, and, you know.
Good. And that's why we have our significant other, the person. When you find your person, it's somebody who has that understands you.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
He's my penguin.
There you go.
Sure.
But that's important for young musicians, is just to really, really work on yourself and just be able to take the punch. You need to have, my dad, the elephant skin.
Right.
You know, thick skin, no. Elephant skin, man.
Exactly.
You know?
You had one more? Did you have one more?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just wanted to keep, you know, riffing off that a little bit. You know?
Yeah.
There's one thing that I always tell people when I had a lot of like my friends who are also doing music and that kind of thing tell me about how nervous they are to go on stage and that kind of thing, or how they don't think they can do music for a living.
Yeah.
I just always tell them, like, you know, there are a lot of people who are really not that good of musicians that are doing the thing.
Yeah.
Because they just decided to keep doing the thing.
Yeah.
You know, so like there's space for all of us, you know?
Yeah,
Totally.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I had a ritual before. I mean, I haven't played a show in too long, man. It's going to be, we're in February. So it's officially 3 years since I've played a show. And the last one was in Australia with Chris, right in the beginning of the pandemic. And what happened, man, was I would have a ritual every show when I had this like spiritual awakening of realizing how little we all are, and just like I realized that like we're on this floating speck in the universe, and we're the specks on the floating speck, and we want to feel important, and it's liberating to know that you're not. And and I think that once you come to grips with that, then you know you have a purpose. I believe that we all have a purpose here, and that's why I say everyone's a rock star. There's a reason why the world continues to turn, and all these things can be done. And if there's a problem, there's someone that's talented enough to fix it in any part of life. So it's like everyone is a rock star in their own right. So I would just have this ritual that I would speak and just be like, let me be the person that, like, I would talk, because I believe in like the higher power universe. I'm not a religious guy, but like I believe in just this incredible loving universe energy that gave me this opportunity, gave me this gift, because I've never had a lesson in anything. I've just been able to do it. So I'm like, let me be the vessel. I kept calling myself the vessel. Let me be the vessel. Come hang with me through this, and let me be the vessel that you created me to be. And then this crazy amount of any pressure and nervousness would just lift, and I'd go out, and I said, let me connect to everyone. Let them see what I feel. And then you have that connection with people. And then the show's just like, then you almost feel like you're watching yourself.
Isn't that crazy?
And then you're like, and then it's over, and you're like, what just happened?
Exactly. It's a bit of a blur.
It's a blur, and then it's incredible. And then you have this connection with all these people you don't even know, but you do.
You do.
You know?
Yeah, no. And it's hard. You just put it into words, but it's hard to walk into that. You're prepared though. You walk in and when you prepare for these opportunities and these moments, even though the next time you take the stage, you're going to be nervous.
Yeah.
Because it's been so long.
Yeah.
I just played for the very first time. I hadn't taken the stage in a year and a half, and I just took the stage, and I was nervous. Nicole, I could walk out in front of 10,000 people, and she's like, why are you sleeping right now? Because I'm prepared. Like, this is my moment. I love this. But now I walk out there and I'm going to give them everything I got. That night, I'm like, woo! I can feel my body clock, and I'm trying to calm myself down. Woo! And because it's been a moment, but love it and love connecting. And music is such a gift. I can't imagine not having it in my life. I didn't move to Hollywood to be a musician. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was living in my car, and next thing you know, I'm acting, and then...
And you had the Elvis, like, you used to grease up that hair, man.
I did. Yeah,
you had the black grease
and the sideburns.
Yeah, dude. We all knew who you admired. But
this is true. This is true. You know, it's funny. All this stuff in here, they're all gifts. This is all gifts. My birthdays would come around, and I don't spend money on Elvis stuff. They just show up, and... My brother got me
man, these pages are a little stuck together,
man.
man.
Whoa.
No,
hey,
sorry.
no, it's awesome. That's when you stayed with me.
Hi, babe. Oh,
no, so, hey, again, this is a Hero's Journey podcast, and you guys just came in. Trev Lukather, Madison Kane Lukather. Wow.
Has a nice ring to it.
It does have a nice ring to it. Chase, thank you so much for
Chase.
today, buddy.
Thank you, Brian.
My pleasure.
Brian, we love you, man.
Yeah, we love you. You're
Thank
so
you.
sweet. You're such
Thank
a
you.
beautiful, beautiful soul.
Wow.
Thank you
And
for having
thank
us.
you.
Everybody.
Thank you.
I mean, my record's dropping
Yes,
down
that's what I was
but
gonna
hold on
say.
a second. No. Elvis Monroe album, baby. That's out.
Yeah.
That's available now.
It just came out.
Yeah.
Story so far.
Come
Curtain
on.
Call Records. I'm excited about
So
the album.
awesome.
Thank you. It came out. You know what's crazy? And that record came out. I signed a deal with Curtain Call Records on the new record that I was doing and wrote during the pandemic with Ben, right? And he was like a mad scientist going in there and playing everything, and that's how we got the deal. But then when the label asked, "What else do you have past this? You know, like, do you have other songs?" And I went,
Is that just like
"Well,
that bothers me.
you know what's crazy?
Hey, you just finished an album. What else do you have?
God, what else you got? Well,
How about you do something with this one
Yeah.
first,
Yeah.
and then I'll tell you and show you.
Well, what was really cool was that I have a catalog of stuff, and I'll send you 3 songs a day. I don't want to just hit you with all of it. So 3 songs a day, and then they came back and went, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing with this?" I'm like, that's almost like old to me. You know, this is the new thing. And they're like, let's build up a new fan base with that stuff, and we'll put out this new record.
Yeah.
So Jay Rustin's going to be mixing the new record, and
Well, it's old to you.
it is, but it's new to everybody else.
Everyone else.
New to everyone else.
You know?
But you know, you're sitting on it for so long. It's, It's like, oh, I've been playing that or I've had that recorded a while ago.
My album I've been sitting on for a year and a half.
Right.
And I was just caught up producing other people and not just kind of like the universe was kind of bringing me to this thing where it's like money's coming in, I'm getting paid to do this, and it's opportunities to work with other people, and the things are, so I really took that on, but in between making my record, but knowing like, okay, well, when am I gonna have time to do this? But like, also, am I gonna find the right home for it? And then, met with a lot of people, but at the end of the day, it was like nothing, like what I was doing is a lot out of the box, and the things that are so important to labels now is not like what a lot of like people are about, which is like TikTok and all these things that like, to me, it's like, who cares? Like I love TikTok, man, as far as like Bigfoot, aliens, and, ghost videos. And I'm on my For You page like crazy. Yeah. But like, and I've seen a lot of great artists, but like, I'm like, but does that really go into like lifelong fans? No. People will love you for a blink and then it's on to the next. So, I just felt like with my team, I wanted to actually have control also of like what goes out. And I've been on labels. I've had 2 deals, man, in my life, and I've never been happy with that either.
Right. So
because you're battling people that aren't
and don't understand you.
Yeah.
They don't get you, and they don't get where you're coming from, and it has to fit in a box over here. And you're like, no, it doesn't.
No.
Yeah.
No, not in this world. Not in the way it didn't, when your dads became what they were, it was just music.
Yeah.
It was great music, and it wasn't dissected into different things. You had all these different artists on these festivals.
Right.
Yeah.
You had folk singers and you had pop people, but there was no titles to them. It was just great music. And that's why there are artists out there that are crossing over in these crazy areas, and that's why I love your stuff. Dude, one has this funky vibe, and the other one has this dance thing, but it's got this theme throughout it, and it's you. It's all the things you've done, and now you're spitting out this great music.
Thanks, man.
But it's your journey. Yeah. It's where you're coming from, and the people you're surrounded by.
What's so funny
coming out of
is
you.
when I was even shopping the record with my manager, like, we would get this, like, this is groundbreaking. This is like fresh. This is really great stuff.
We don't know what to do with it.
But no, they're like, it's expensive because he's gonna need a band and blah 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 blah. And then what's his TikTok stuff and blah blah blah. And it's like it wasn't no one had an issue with the record. No one was saying, I don't get it. This isn't for me. It was, we love the album, but this is what's gonna have to be. And then it just got to the point where like my management said, let's just do what we want to do, and if eventually down the line someone comes in and wants to get on board with what we want, cool. But until then, why get into bed with someone that's like, but it's gonna be a lot of work? And it's like, it's like, but that's what made such great like our pops bands or all the great bands from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. They saw something that like the music's great and this is going to go somewhere, and I believe in this, and blah, blah, blah. It's not, no one had a data sheet in front of them being like, well,
we're trying to follow a formula.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, well, this worked, so let's just do the same thing with different people. It's like, there already is that person, and so it's so...
There's only one Trev Lukather. There's only one Madison.
And Bryan Hopkins.
Thank you. No, it's true.
But
it's so true.
And I think that the more honest, that's the thing, that's why I'm not worried about, is people are going to connect to what your song, because it was real.
One more time, the name of the song, so when it comes out.
Chasing Ghosts.
Chasing Ghosts.
It's so
and
good.
And you're going by?
That I'm still trying to figure out.
Okay.
I might I don't know yet, but
Madi.
Madison.
Madison
Lukather.
Yeah.
It was very cool seeing my name.
Madison
Lukather.
Look at that. There you go. And it's really cool because her stuff is like
so beautiful.
It's almost like a modern Kate Bush.
Oh, cool.
The way it was produced.
I can't wait to hear it.
I'm
excited about
and it's just kind of flow.
And do you have a title for your album? Yeah.
Invisible Friends.
Invisible Friends.
Yeah, because it's Trev. So I'm going by my name, Trev Lukather, and the album's called Invisible Friends because I was gonna call the project Invisible Friends because I had all my friends coming in and playing on it. and I announced it, and then 6 months later, some NFT company, Invisible Friends, comes out and just like takes off, dude. Like all of a sudden, I look at the Instagram. There's like 100,000 views and likes, and I'm like, ugh.
You know what I love? Trev Lukather anyway.
You know, man.
That's who you are, bro.
And that's what everyone's like, man, why are you going to try to hide behind something, you know? Because I wrote and produced every song on the record. And it's like, you know what? Fuck it, you know? And Invisible Friends is a great title because I consider my songs my invisible friends.
Yep.
And I consider like these guides, because I don't believe, like I said, I'm a vessel. I don't believe that I have anything to do with anything that I do. I don't believe that it comes from me. So it comes from my invisible friends.
And you can't touch it.
And you can't touch it.
You can't touch it, but you can feel it.
Yes.
And it takes us places. So I could talk to you guys
I know.
all night long.
I know. I think we're like a half an hour
I don't even
or an hour and a
care.
half overtime.
I think this is the
It's
longest.
okay.
This is the longest episode I've
Really?
ever done.
Oh.
Yes. And I love it. So thank you so much for just giving me this time and sitting down.
Yeah, we have friends that are at a restaurant right now.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I'm so sorry.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I'm not kidding, but they'll understand because, this is what I love too about stuff like this
Yes.
is when you connect and you vibe. We've always vibed from day
Always.
one.
And you can come back anytime.
Oh, I love you, man. And it just being able to talk together about this, that's the thing. We could go for 5 hours.
Exactly.
And it wouldn't seem like it's that long of a hang, man, you know?
Not at all. And I'm throwing this out there. I'm going to throw this out there. The next time you come into town, come co-host with me and bring a friend. And we will sit and talk round table just like this. Both of you.
Yeah.
And we'll have somebody here, a guest. Bring a guest in and we'll talk about it some more.
Cool.
Because there's more to talk about. And the new person, the invisible friend sitting here, will share their stories, and we will just get into it even more. And the Rock Rage Radio listeners out there will have something else. You guys come from lineage, but you are your own beings. You're your own people, your own souls creating. And I can't wait to see and hear everything else going on. I love it. But let's share that with everyone. So just when you come back, you just let me know, hey, Bryan, we're coming back into town. Chase and I will make it happen.
We
Right
love
on.
that.
Chase, you the man, dude.
Yeah, thank
I
you
try my
so
best.
much.
Yeah.
This is so cool.
So I've got Trev Lukather, Madison Kane Lukather on the show. Rock Rage Radio, thank you for listening out there. To my sponsors, SMP Inc., thank you so much. Chase, we like SMP, don't we, buddy?
We love SMP.
Yeah. So, and then JPS Computers and Red Rock Harley Davidson. Red Rock Harley Davidson here in
How
Las
much of a
Vegas.
boner did you get when Harley Davidson picked you up?
Bro. Bro.
Your pants were so tight.
Dude. Ah, man. It's so
On that
true.
note,
that note, yes. But so true. And I ride Harleys, thanks
Yes,
to
you
Benny.
do.
So, again, I'm Bryan Hopkins. Chase the Voice running the show for me. This is a Hero's Journey podcast. And all I got to say is continue to be kind, everybody. And go out and get Trev's new music. Trev Lukather. It's on iTunes, Spotify, what is it? Amazon, everywhere you can download music right now. You can find that. You can go to YouTube and check out the video. It's worth it just to see Madison in the video.
That's very true.
I'm telling you. And she's got new music coming out. Again, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, Bri.
See you guys.
Thank you.
And I believe it's coming around to me.